Hello. It is another beautiful morning here at Joyous Prairies, and today I'm going to answer a question. And I have a whole bunch of questions, and I have to bring this out with me so that I don't forget what the topic was. So today it is, well, no, I can't find it. Where'd it go? Oh, talking about not giving people the time they deserve and letting the right people pass you by. So this is definitely a pattern for me in my life, which I am trying to correct. And I thought of 3 reasons why I would not give people the time they deserve or let the right people pass me by. And there has been many circumstances in my life where I have known that a person would be really good for me, but I have not pursued that relationship or just allowed it to fail. And so, in 3 reasons. Number 1 would be trust. Number 2 is self-doubt. And the third one would be time. So we'll talk about the trust issues. And trust issues have always been a big deal for me. I don't know that if it's a big deal for a lot of us, but it's definitely a big deal for me. I've been hurt by a lot of people in the past. People that took advantage of my good nature, took advantage of my generosity and my empathness and my loving heart and that sort of thing. And right down even to my family members when I was a child and as a young adult, and friendships that I've made where people have just, I always say, like, rolled me over, just steamrolled me. And it was almost like the more that I did, the more that they took, and the more that they took, the more that I thought I needed to give. And eventually you come where you have nothing left, and they can't or they won't reciprocate that kind of relationship back to you. So as a young person, you learn very quickly to avoid those types of relationships because you start using your God-given intuition and your discernment to realize, like, those are not the people you want to hang out with. But what ends up happening then is you build up this basic distrust for people in general and a fear that everyone is going to be like that. So you go into every relationship with the idea, or every conversation with a person with the idea that that's how it's going to end up, and that's the only way that it can be. And for me, then I just avoid relationships at all. And, like with my best friend Gwen, had she not pursued me, I would have just let her carry on with her life, and I wouldn't have taken our relationship any further. I would have just been like, well, she's really nice, I like her, I'm drawn to her, but I've got a wall up and I can't do it. And then the second part is self-doubt. And right now I'm trying to work through the trust issues and establish some friendships. And the self-doubt part comes in that when you open yourself to a person and show them who you really are, for me it comes in like the only thing I can think of is like hot and heavy. I come in like a train wreck, and I'm like, I get so drawn to a person and so drawn to what I see developing in the relationship, and then what I can give into it and what it's giving me, and then I like kind of get over the top and too pushy and almost bossy and just putting in my things over and over and over. But then that self-doubt tells me, you're too much, you're doing too much, you're driving this person crazy, you need to take a break. And then I start thinking like, oh, well, maybe I'll just wait 1 or 2 days before I contact them again so that I'm not too much, because I always think like, oh, I'm a lot. It's more than any person can handle. And I'm leaving all of that up to me, as if this other person wouldn't have boundaries and say like, hey, I don't have time right now, or, you know, stop texting me so much, or something like the whole responsibility of how much is put into a relationship is up to me. And then, my self-doubt gets to be where like, oh no, people wouldn't really like me that much if I really showed them who I am. If I give them all of me, they're going to reject me. And if I show them and tell them everything that I have, and I give and I give and I give, they're going to end up rejecting me, because they're going to say, wow, she is a hot mess. She is way too much, and I can't take it. I can't take her. I can't take this relationship. And then they're going to reject me and walk away. And then the third part is time. And what I mean by time is, how you run into an old friend or you run into an acquaintance, and you can tell that they really like you and they really want to spend time with you, and they say, hey, why don't you come over for coffee sometime? Yeah, sometime. Okay. And then time passes, or you get a text message from somebody, and I'm trying to be better about this, and then you can't remember if you actually responded to it or if you just thought you responded to it. And then a week passes and you realize that you never contacted that person again, because I have had whole coffee dates and whole conversations with people inside my head, inside my imagination, and it never really happened, but it's so real that I forget that I never actually gave that person my actual time in the real world. I have this whole relationship inside my head, and sometimes even in my dreams, but in the real, I didn't do it. And time just passes, because when you live, 3/4 of your life inside your head and your imagination, sometimes you forget that there's a real world out there, and most people live in it. And they see, I would imagine, your lack of communication, my lack of returning texts and phone calls and turning down coffee dates and saying, oh yeah, maybe next time, as rejection. So the thing that I fear from other people, that my self-doubt lets eat at me, is what I do to other people to avoid being rejected myself. So I've already eliminated the possibility of a friendship and a connection that may have been mutually beneficial out of my own fear, self-doubt, and lack of time management and lack of connection to the real world. And I saw a meme somewhere, maybe on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and I had to laugh. I saw it a while ago, but I had to laugh, and it came into my mind when I was thinking about this. And what it said was, I just saw your text message. Do you still want to hang out last week? And it just made me laugh so much, because that's exactly me. Time passes and I forget that days have gone by, and this person really wanted to connect with me, and I just let days go by with busy work and imagining and sitting in my head and forgetting that weeks, months, years have passed. And fortunately for me, my two good friends aren't, well, I shouldn't say fortunately they're not INFJs, but I'm thankful they're not INFJs, because I wouldn't wish this on anybody. But they still pursue me. It could be weeks and they will still, the one will just text me, hi. And then I'll realize by looking at the date and the time that it has been 2 weeks since I conversed with this person, even though I love him dearly. But the time and the getting lost in your head and the fear of rejection and the self-doubt of saying, if I push too hard, this person is going to run away from me. And clearly I have some abandonment issues, so to avoid abandonment, I will just not connect with people. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on this topic of how you not giving people the time they deserve and letting the right people pass you by. it's something I'm working on. It's something that I am definitely working on right now. That I'm going to give the right people the time they deserve, and not just let them pass me by, and not think that I can just do this all by myself, because doing it all by myself is not working. So I'm going to take the support and the love of people and their friendship, with, of course, my good intuition and boundaries and discernment into what's actually going on, and be thankful for them. So have a great day, guys. Yeah, I'm feeling much better than I was the last couple of videos. It was a good thing. It seemed really hard, but it was a good thing for me to go through. And yeah, I'm feeling a lot more normal, a lot more like joy. So thank you so much. Live and love out of the way you were created.